And welcome to another video. I am so excited to be bringing you another video. So today's topic is about advocating for yourself. So I'm 3 months behind on this video. Forgive me, I do my best to get these out, but listen, I have my notes for advocacy here. I'm going to work on clarity tonight, so you will get this video tonight. I mean, not tonight, probably tomorrow, but you know what I mean. So like I told you in the last video, 10 to 12 minutes and we're out. So I introduced my R.E.A.C.H acronym. If you do not know what I'm talking about, I'll link it below. Go to my last video that I put out like in July, and I talked about research and educate. Now, if you're hearing this, you're like, I created this myself. You do not have the right to reproduce this without talking to me. I'm all about educating people. So if you would like to use this acronym, just reach out to me. I don't mind. This is all about educating people about HIV and what they should do. So these are the 5 things you should do after a diagnosis. Research, educate, advocate. That's what we're going to talk about today. Gain clarity, and ask for help. So this video is about advocacy, advocating for yourself. Now that you're equipped with research and education, you have to use it to advocate for you. You have to advocate for you. Yes, you. So I have 4 points that I am going to talk about today to teach you how to advocate for yourself. Also linked below, I have a care guide. If you want to go deeper, it'll take you through the first 30 days up through your first year of a diagnosis. I will have that link below. It is $12. It is all yours to use, and I hope that it can be helpful for you. Also linked below, I will have some things that I use that can also be helpful for you, and also my book, Life After HIV. This is my book that I authored, and it tells about my life. I talk about disclosure, dating, and all that. So now that spiel is out, let's get to the work. So the first thing to advocate for yourself is you have to speak up and ask questions. Ask questions. You have to ask questions. How do we know that you don't have what you need if you did not ask about it? You have to ask questions. So if something is bothering you, ask about it. If you're missing your doses, speak up. If you can't remember to take your medication, speak up. If you don't have housing, say something. There are resources for you. Being quiet, I hate to say this, but it will not help you get what you need, okay? Being quiet will not help you get what you need. If your treatment is not effective, meaning it's causing you to have problems, the side effects are bothering you, you have to speak up. And also, if you have, say you go to a organization and you feel like you're not being treated well, report it. There are ways for you to report it. There are compliance lines. Figure out how to report a compliance line. And there are other places that you can go visit. So don't think that this one place you go to is the all be all, okay? There are community organizations that will support you and your efforts, okay? So you have to speak up and ask questions. There are always research studies being done. That's another way that you can speak up for yourself. And sometimes people are like, well, I don't want to be researched on, but we need your research because, and I'm not paid to say this, but how would they ever know what people like you need? There are a lot of different people living with HIV. There are men, there are women, there are children, there are teenagers, there are older people. We don't know what's needed for your specific care group unless you help. So that is the thing. So people are probably like, okay, I speak up for myself, I ask questions, but Nikisa, what is advocacy? Public support for a recommendation of a cause or a policy. Make sure that others' voices are heard. So that's what advocacy is. So that's what I do. I make sure your voice is heard. So I'm advocating for me and for you. But what is self-advocacy? So self-advocacy, that is the action of representing oneself for one's views or interests. So when you advocate for yourself, that's where you take your interests and say, hey, something is not right or something is right. And then you do the work to advocate for you to make sure that you get what you need. So something that I want to say is that we assume that our doctors protect us 100%, and they do their very best. This is not a rant against doctors or nurses, because like I told you, I am a healthcare provider. But they are also human. So you have to speak up. You are qualified to speak up about something that you are living with. You are living with HIV, or you know a family member or somebody, for some reason you're watching this video, that person is living with HIV, and you have to advocate for yourself. You are your own best advocate. So the second way to advocate for yourself is to tell your doctor about side effects. Let me say it again. Tell your doctor about side effects. Tell them about access to medications, and tell them where you need help with education about your medication. If you don't understand your medications, ask questions. That's their job. Ask questions. Also, a pharmacist is a good place to ask questions too. If you research something and you don't really understand it, ask your doctor questions. If you have a situation where you can have a peer advocate, talk to your peer advocate. If you're in a support group, ask people in your support group. Ask questions to find out what you need. Okay, you need to find out what you need, because we don't know if you're dealing with something. If you take your medicine and it's causing you headaches to the point where you're not able to actually take your medicine, I need you to speak up about that. If your doctor's writing you a prescription but you can't afford your medications, ask them about it. There are copay assistance programs. There are programs through different drug companies that will actually pay for your medicine for a long time. um there are, if you realize something happened with your medication, make sure just make sure that you're doing your part to speak up about your medications. Okay. The third thing I want to tell you, which is something some people know about, some people don't know about: get in the room where they talk about you. A lot of people who make decisions on your behalf, whether you know it or not, they make decisions for you. Some examples that I have written down here are housing assistance, Ryan White services, Medicaid. Somebody is making a decision for you, and guess what? These meetings are open to the public. You can go there and say, hey, I'm having this issue, this is what I'm seeing. Here in Atlanta, there has been a huge housing crisis where people's rent wasn't getting paid. They were under this program called HOP, where people's rent wasn't getting paid. People were being evicted. It took for advocates to get together and say, hey, this is a problem, so something could get done. That could have went away. That could have went completely away if nobody spoke up. So if you're somebody that's affected by something, nobody's going to come knock on your door and ask you. You have to be in these rooms. If you see a trend going around that's happening to you yourself or people around you, you need to get in there and speak up. Like if you notice youth are not being involved, if you notice that there are no support groups for you, if you're noticing that you're having you need help with something and you're not able to get it, this is where you can speak up. Okay, because we don't know everything. Like they just found out about AIDS and HIV. First of all, they found out about AIDS first, a little education piece, back in the early 90s. They didn't really even recognize it was HIV at first. They didn't know the virus that caused the disease. So everything is still new. So some of the things, especially with women, no, if you are a man, this is no disrespect to you, but women, we don't go to research studies. We don't speak up. We take our medicines, and then sometimes we have a tendency to say, well, I got all this going. But things can be better, but you have to advocate and say this is a problem. We don't know it's a problem unless you say something. And if you've ever worked in like customer service or for a job, you'll notice that you might say, hey, I'm noticing my customers are having these issues, and they say, well, unless the customer say something, it's not an issue. You are the consumer. You have to say something. Use the resources given to you. Use the resources. There are a lot of ways to stay connected to people who want to help you. I'm not the only advocate with a support group. I actually just mentored a young lady who is an advocate. She started a support group, and her support group is for men and women. My support group is just for women. That is where I feel I am called to, and I focus more on education and mental health. That is my thing. You may find it helpful to be in multiple support groups. There are some groups that's just all about social support and having social outings and having a good time and just being free. There are groups that are just about education. There are support groups where you can talk about family members who are living with HIV. There are so many support groups. So I'm not the advocate for HIV. You could be an advocate and never tell nobody that you're HIV positive. I remember I read a book, and if I can remember the name, I will link it in my Amazon store for you to read it. She was the editor-in-chief of Pies.com magazine, or she was the CEO of Pies.com, one or the other. And she hid her status, but she wrote a book about how she hid her status, and she was working right in the field where nobody knew she had HIV, and she was doing great work. When she finally decided to share her story, she wrote a book about it, and she was it was one of the first books that I ever read about someone living with HIV. So it was really good for me, because what she showed me is that you can advocate without sharing your status. That wasn't my story, because like I said, I was writing a book, and that's how it was mandated upon me to write a book. So I just want you guys to use the resources given to you. I want you to be a better advocate for yourself. I want you to realize that I know that this diagnosis can take a toll on us, but we have to advocate for ourselves and speak up about the things that bother us. I want to encourage you guys to go to the Well Project to read blogs. If you are struggling, I want to encourage you to inbox me. I want to encourage you to reach out to me on Facebook. I do have a support group for women living with HIV, and I'll be doing some new things in there. I'll be educating, but I also want to do some things, because I have seen, this is what happens when you see a problem, that we need to really hone in on the gifts that God has given us. Sometimes we let this diagnosis discourage us from living out the life that was purpose for us. And I just want to help women to still be able to do that. So that is my spiel about advocacy. I will come to you with a video about clarity. I'm gonna go review one more time, and then we're gonna end this video, because like I said, I don't want to keep this longer than 12 minutes. One, you have to speak up and ask questions. Two, tell your doctor about side effects if you're having an issue with access, and also if you need more education on your medications. Three, get in the room where they talk about you. So that could be at Ron White meetings, that could be at housing meetings. That there are a lot of different boards. Look for boards in your area. If you're in Atlanta, I'll link to just some different things that are here in the Atlanta area. That's number three. Number four, use the resources given to you. I have a support group that are meeting advocates and have support groups. All right, Star. Somebody coming. Somebody coming for you, girl, with your craziness. Most of these support groups are secret, so you don't have to worry. Only people can see them. Eyes are coming. And these groups are geared towards. Dang, girl, you don't know how to act. You ain't even been out there that long. Negative in these groups. If you're open with your status, you are a leader, and you are open with your status, and you are a. But where the hell we find that damn dog from? And it's just where leaders can go. I speak a lot about how sometimes. You picked her. Or lead us to feel like, this is too much. So I also now she whining at the door. You know what? I'm sick of your dog. I don't want this to be too long, so just go and get what I'm so sick of her. I want you to take this video. How you gonna be being big bad wolf and then start whining? I bet all the dogs in the neighborhood be talking about your ass. Like that punk ass dog be on that chain. I'm not telling you to change your whole. Her punk ass ain't gonna do shit. If you are dealing with something, if you are dealing with I probably think the same thing about you until I miss you. And I'll be getting into it's a reason your mom and daddy put you on crazy ass on the motherfucking child. So we talked about research and education back in July. We talked about advocacy. I'm going to crank out the next video for you, and I'm coming, Star. I gotta make your daddy food first. That I posted for you. If you got any questions, please comment, and I will see you in a few. Speak up and ask questions. Two, tell your doctor about side effects if you're having an issue with access, and also if you need more education on your medications. Three, get in the room where they talk about you. So that could be at Ron White meetings, that could be at housing meetings. That there are a lot of different boards. Look for boards in your area. If you're in Atlanta, I'll link some different things that are here in the Atlanta area. That's number three. Number four, use the resources given to you. I have a support group. There are other many advocates that have support groups. And like I told you, if you are a male, I do have a support group for you for men and women. Most of these support groups are secret, so you don't have to worry. Only people can see them are the people in the group. And these groups are geared towards people living with HIV. So there won't be anybody who's HIV negative in these groups. If you're open with your status, if you are a leader and you are open with your status and you are a female, I have a group for you as well. And it's just where leaders can go. I speak a lot about how sometimes this advocacy world can burn us out or lead us to feel like, it's too much. So I also have a group for that. So I'll link that all below. I don't want this to be too long. So just go and get what you need. I want you to take this video, go back, rewind it, replay it, and see where you can start advocating for yourself. Take it one day at a time. I'm not telling you to change your whole being, but if you are dealing with something, if you are dealing with depression or anything, please speak up about that. And I'll be getting into those more into clarity into the help videos, because these are the first 5 things. So we talked about research and educate back in July. We're talking about advocacy today. I'm going to crank out the next video for you, and I will see you soon. And look below for the many resources that I've posted for you. Got any questions, please comment, and I will see you in a few.